The Minnesota Twins are getting screwed right now, and it's not in the way that you might think. Coming off of a season where the Twins saw themselves win their division and beat the Toronto Blue Jays in the wild card, many fans were hoping that their management would add to this squad and make them better for 2024. Continue to bring in outside talent to further lock down that American League Central and punch your ticket to the playoffs. That hasn't happened though. In fact, rather than bringing in players, the Minnesota Twins look like they are subtracting, which have a lot of people wondering why. What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In this one, folks, we're going to be talking about the real reason why the Minnesota Twins aren't going out right now and they're not making a big free agent splash, but are instead sitting back and flirting with the idea of trading away some of their big players. Before we do, I encourage you guys to hit the like and smash the subscribe button if you enjoy MLB content and discussion so you don't miss any future videos. Alright folks, let's get into it. So as I mentioned, the Minnesota Twins are coming off of a fairly successful season. They did only win 87 games last year, but they also locked down their division, and whenever you win your division, usually that season has to be considered a positive. They did this with a franchise record payroll, spending $160 million on their team by the end of the year. Now, one would think that with favorable results, that would warrant an uptick in the payroll, but that just hasn't happened. The Twins walking into this offseason are losing names like Sonny Gray, Joey Gallo, Tyler Mahle, Michael A. Taylor, and a lot more to free agency, and several of those guys have already signed with other teams that are not the Minnesota Twins. In fact, the Minnesota Twins really haven't done anything this offseason, with their biggest move being their one-year signing of Josh Stomont for $950K, which is why articles like this that are talking about contending teams that need to make some moves have not been shy at all about calling out the Minnesota Twins for their lack of activity on the free agent market. It's also very important to note the Minnesota Twins' current involvement in the trade market. Jorge Polanco, one of the Twins' better players and a 10-year vet with Minnesota, keeps popping up in trade conversations, with many analysts predicting Toronto to be the inevitable landing spot. So what the hell? Why are the Minnesota Twins approaching this offseason as if they are a seller when in actuality they should be anything but? Well, it all comes down to money. The Minnesota Twins right now are currently getting screwed by their TV deal. Ted Schwesler writes, "Payroll cutting is something fans never want to hear about, but the Pollard family will face a new challenge in the form of television revenues. In a widely reported reality, Diamond Sports Group has gone bankrupt. It took extended time for Minnesota to receive its rights fees in 2023, and something like $50 million will need to be replaced from an operating revenue perspective. $50 million is not an insignificant amount of money, and right now, the Twins, they don't have it. They also have no idea who's going to be broadcasting their games in 2024, which effectively puts their entire season into uncertainty. Now, obviously, somebody is going to pick up the slack, and somebody is going to broadcast these Minnesota Twins games, but it is very likely that the deal that they eventually get is not going to be as monetarily favorable for them as their prior one was. Basically, whichever way you spin it, they're going to be losing money." Ted Schwesler goes on to write, "There's little reason for an incoming source to pay the same rights fees as Bali, given the bankruptcy results from cord cutting and declining subscription fees. The difference in dollars will be felt somewhere, and a logical assumption is that payroll will be impacted." So basically, what we have happening here is the Minnesota Twins are getting screwed over monetarily speaking from something that was basically completely out of their control, and now they have to make some cuts. Now, apparently the last update on this is that the Minnesota Twins are currently still engaged in conversations with Bally Sports to potentially work something out, but it is very difficult for you to go and address your off-season if you have no idea where your money is going to be coming from. Until you get this broadcasting deal out of the way, the GM's hands are kind of tied, right? Like, how can you go out and address free agency if you still don't know who is going to be literally broadcasting your games next season? I, for one, feel truly bad for those Minnesota Twins fans, because You guys have a good team. You know, you have a division that you can win. You just need maybe a little bit more help to make sure that you lock that thing down, and you're just not getting it right now. The Minnesota Twins, for the sake of their next season, they need this deal to get done. But folks, let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.